Hello everyone. In this video, we will be talking about how to find out what are the SharePoint sites in your tenant that are shared with everyone, that are open for everybody. So why? Why do we need this? The biggest problem in SharePoint and Teams is a complicated permission system. That you can break permissions at any level, subsite, library, folder, even document, and you can share this document or folder with somebody. And it is not always clear with whom this folder or library is shared. So it's a common situation when site owner shares a library with somebody, but team members don't know to whom this library is shared. So they might put some sensitive documents in this library, and automatically this document becomes overshared. That's, unfortunately, very common situation, especially in big sites. The other moment is migration, when we migrate content from on-prem SharePoint to Microsoft 365, or from file system to Microsoft 365. The problem is account mapping. It's not always clear which account in on-prem should map to which account in the cloud, especially if it's a group, if it's about groups. So again, unfortunately, it's a common situation when migrated content becomes overshared. Among content that is overshared, the most concern is content that is shared with everyone. So that means that really anybody in the tenant can access this content. Well, in Microsoft 365, there are system groups called everyone and everyone except external users. So both might be possible options when somebody shares content. And let us talk a little bit about search. Well, content that is shared with everyone in on-prem was not so big concern that content is shared with everyone in Microsoft 365. Why? Because to get access to this content in on-prem, you should know where is this content, or at least what is the content. So if content is shared on a specific farm, you sitting on another farm, you could not get access. You could not search for this content, right? So you should go to this specific farm, and you should put a search query knowing what you're looking for. In the cloud, Microsoft, and that's specific of new modern search in Microsoft, which is people-centric, based on insights we generate. So in the cloud, search not only performs upon your request, search might suggest you. So Microsoft 365 might suggest you some sites other people are working on. So if you are on just office.com landing page, right? So you might see files, documents other people are working on. Or if you own SharePoint landing page, same. And especially if you go to OneDrive, you can see that it's a similar experience when we used to have with Delph, when Microsoft 365 just gives you sites. So you might even not requesting the sites. You didn't want to go to the sites, but you can see. So it is possible that Microsoft detects, so, you are software architect. Look at this document open to everyone, that this department is working on. And document is called like new salary ranges for software architects, something like that. But you got an idea. So it's just a matter of time when you will be asked to provide documents that are shared with everyone, to provide list of sites that are open for everyone. So next, how would you do that? Now, how exactly do we detect which site is open, which site is private? Well, first option is third-party tools. You are lucky if you have some kind of third-party tools licensed like ShareGate, SysKit, SharePoint, Metalogics. I've been working with all of them. Lately, I've been working with SysKit, and the tool is really good. But, the smaller environment, the better third-party tools are working. If the environment really big, third-party tools might get stuck or might take long to get the report. Usually, third-party tools, they have their own database and they synchronize data from Microsoft 365 to their own database like daily or most likely nightly. So using third-party tools, you can get permissions report much faster than pulling this data from M365 directly. But yeah, so size of environment could be a challenge. If the third-party tool has an option to get permissions report not for all IDs, for all sites, but for specific ID, you can specify group and request permissions report for this specific group across all the tenants. Yeah, that should work better. But if so, we can see the second possible problem. What group are you looking for? Obviously, there are 3 system groups responsible for sharing with everyone, called everyone except external users, and all users. But there might be custom security groups, right? Other teams, I don't know, security, governance, they might create a custom security group for their own purposes. I don't know, for example, for licensing or for emailing or for like whatever, right? So imagine they create a security group and include all the users in this group. So how do you know if you have like thousands and tens of thousands group in your environment? How do you know which groups you need to get permissions report for, right? So that could be a challenge. And another problem could be, well, since these tools synchronize data on scheduled basis, at every moment, your reports might be not very accurate. So you might get reports as it was yesterday, not today. This should not be a big problem for our purpose, but yeah, keep this in mind. If you don't have any third-party tools, probably the second option would be PowerShell scripts. With PowerShell, you can get report on any site or entire environment, permissions report. The problem with PowerShell scripts is I have never seen really good script that pulls permissions report. So you would probably need to update the script to your needs. And by the way, even if there are good scripts, it's not a good idea to run somebody else PowerShell scripts against your production environment without looking into the scripts like very carefully. So I would not run anything in my production until I know very well what the script does, until I test the scripts against non-production environment and so on. So, and running the scripts, even running the scripts require some skills. So anyway, second option definitely require very good PowerShell scripts skills. Size of environment absolutely could be the problem. For a good site, this report can run like hours. Why? Well, because in SharePoint, permissions could be broken at any level. So to get really full permissions report, you need to go through all the site content, all the details, starting from the root site and including every item. So it might take time. It definitely takes time. So for large environments, running PowerShell scripts to get full permissions report can take a while, maybe weeks. So that could be stopper. And the same problem as with option one, even if we get full permissions report, or we will be able to run PowerShell scripts not for all IDs in tenant, but for specific group IDs in tenants. The question is which groups we need to detect, which groups we need to challenge. And the third option would be search-based. The idea is, when we are getting permissions report, actually what we are doing is we iterating through all the tenant content, right? Taking consideration each item permissions. But actually that's already done by search. And search is the heaviest service in SharePoint. It used to be, and now search is one of the heaviest services, just because it crawls all the content. So if it's done, how can we use search? Unfortunately, we cannot pull from search this report, like which ID has which permissions to which item. So there is an idea. What if we create some kind of dummy account and we will not provide any permissions to SharePoint for this account? We will not include this account in any groups or whatever, just plain created account, license it in Microsoft 365 environment. And what if we search on behalf of this account? Obviously, we can search for anything against entire tenant. And if we find something, that means that this content is shared with everyone. And we can search programmatically. So content open for everyone would be returned programmatically as JSON objects. That's what we need actually. A similar idea was published by Microsoft. So credit goes to Microsoft for this idea, but they used this idea to search for content shared externally. You can find this link in the description. So why don't we use the same idea for the open content shared internally? And let me go to scripts. So here is the code. Actually, what I did is I registered an account and I called it account with no permissions because this account has no permissions provided to SharePoint and no group membership. And I'll log it in on behalf of this account. And if I search for everything, so with GUI, you can see that everything that in my results are actually content shared with everyone, because having no group membership and no specific permissions to SharePoint, I was able to get into this site. So the same search we can perform programmatically, because that's what we need. For programmatic search, we would need application registered in Azure with delegated permissions, at least status read all. How to get registered application in Azure, please find in the description. But yeah, that's what we need. And if we specify site URL, tenant ID, and client ID, we would be able to connect to environment using pnp.powershell. And I connect it. Now I can get token and see what is this token. Yeah, so that's time is GMT. After get token, I can test it if it's valid. And yes, I was able to get my own data from graph. And that's my account. All right, now I can call search. That I will be calling beta search query, but in production you would call production. I would use search string like to search everything, and I would use all 5 entity types because I'm interested not only in shared documents, but let's say if the library is shared with everyone, but this library does not have any documents in, so this library would be in my interest also, right? So that's why I'm looking for all 5 entity types. And I would form a body. Let me run that. And let me run actually call to search. And I got results. So let me see what's in the results object. So I got 25 search results upon this request. Are there more results available? Yes. And how many total results available? It's 1800. So you would need to get all results, all 1800, right? And for this, we would organize a loop through all the results. And I will organize this loop using slightly different technique. I will be using not calling REST API method, but I will be using pnp.powershell command. So what I do is I'm connecting to pnp.powershell, and again, search string would be everything. I'm organizing empty array to keep all the results. I'll be adding all the results into this array. And yeah, probably that's it. So I will be incrementing from variable. You can see that I'm calling search. I hard coded that I'll get each iteration, I'll get 100 results. Debug information here. Then I'll be adding to the total array of all results, current results. And I'll be checking if there are more results. If no, I'll increase from variable to get next 100 results, next loop. Otherwise, I'll say that there are no more results to my do until loop. And I'll stop this. Okay, so let me run it. And you can see this looping and getting 100 result each iteration. So it might take time. Let me stop at this moment. I'll return in a few minutes. And the loop is finished. And in 3 minutes, I got all the results. So let me check how many items in this array. Yep, 17,000. And I'm getting only unique site URLs here. And how many unique? It's 122. So you can see that it's about, in average, it's about 100 results per site. But in fact, of course, like big sites might give me thousands of results. So first issue, and we will address this issue later, is why do we need to iterate through all the results of one big site? It can take a while if we already know that this site is shared with everyone, right? So that would be the next step. Okay, we've just seen search-based solution based on looping through all the results. Query was search for everything, and we were searching through all the entities, and we were paging through all the results. Possible problems. Surely the same problem. For small environments, it would work okay. But for large environments, you'll probably get endless loop because you have so much shared with everyone content that you can just loop through it, scroll, and it never ends. So time that takes to search to get all the results would be significant. And the second problem is inconsistency. And you've seen this just a few minutes before, right? So when I called search first time, it gave me 18,000 result. When I start looping, it gave me 17,000 results, right? So, and I've seen cases much worse, like when you are looping through a few thousand results, and after, for example, loop number 10, all of a sudden search gives you 0 results, saying like, yeah, you are end of results, no more results. And actually, I created case to Microsoft on this, and the response from Microsoft was, well, search is not the right tool to get content. Search is for search, not to get content. So let us modify this approach a little bit. Instead of looping through all the results, let us loop through sites. Again, let's say there is a public site with millions of documents. So we would stuck with this site for hours, days, right? Looping through all the results. Why do we need this? If we just need to know, are there any results on this site or not? So at least one result from site means that site is shared with everyone, right? So we don't need all the results from site. We need at least one result from the site. So why don't we just get all the sites in tenant and just submit search request per each site URL? This way we would see like if there are at least something shared with everyone at the site or not. Let's do it with PowerShell. So I already got sites and array with URLs. It's about 1,000 sites in my lab tenant. Of course, in real environment, you'll get much bigger numbers. And one of the site is public. So you can see I can do search request for each URL. So, and inside this loop, I would just put in some information, and query string would be limited, results would be limited to one specific site URL. And then I would submit search query, and I limited number of results to 10. That's enough for me. And I need only one property out of results, it's web URL. And if I run the loop body against one site, I would get response. Yes, there are 10 results out of 111 available from this site, available for everyone. Now let me try another URL. This one is private, and if I run the loop, yeah, I got 0 result. So now let me run this loop for all sites, and I put video on pause, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes. Okay, we are back. My loop has finished, and it took 14 minutes. I know that's more than when we were looping through all the results, but it really depends on your environment. It's just in my lab environment, it happens that this way is longer, but in real environment, probably it would be the other way. Okay, now let me count number of raw results, and I'm selecting unique results. I got 120. Last time I got 122, we can go to details and check why is the difference. So for this approach, looping through sites, at least it takes predictable time. When you looping through results, you never know how long it might take. And it's really inconsistent. When you're looping through sites, it's predictable time, so you can measure, and it is consistent. One more consideration, just follow up on the looping through all sites approach. Actually, you can speed up this process a little bit, excluding known open sites. So you know that in Teams there are sites public, teams and private teams, right? So public teams are public by default. So we already know that those sites are open for everyone. So it doesn't make sense to include these sites in the list to loop through. So we can exclude public sites. Also, we can exclude maybe standalone sites that are known, that are public, like corporate portal, Yammer public groups, and so on. Yep, that should improve speed a little bit. Not much, but yeah, that helps. So what else do we need to keep in mind when we apply the search-based solution? Well, first, that it's a long-term commitment. I mean, since its solution is based on search for data to get into indexing database, it takes time. So just recent changes might not be reflected in your results. Second moment is automation. You know, it's easy to automate application or daemon authentication, daemon style authentication, unattended authentication. But for if we require current user present, you know, that's not easy to automate. I mean, if you can use hard-coded password, you can automate it. If your environment required interactive or multi-factor authentication or some kind of authentication that require real user present, so that cannot be automated. But that should be okay because we usually run this once a month or once a quarter, once a year maybe. So it's okay to have it not automated. Another moment to keep in mind is, you know, when we got sites that are shared with everyone, we don't know at which specific level the site is shared. It could be shared just one file or a few files, or it could be shared entire site. Probably it could be a good idea to run a permissions report against this short list of open sites. At least we will have really short list. So it could be 100 times less than entire environment. It would be much easier to get full permissions report against a few sites than against entire environment. And some other considerations. Well, when we were looping through results or through sites, it didn't take long, so my token was not expired. But in real life, it might take hours, so your token probably will be expired during the loop. So consider refreshing tokens. Usually I use MSAL library to refresh token. So first time when I get token interactively, I use this command line. And next time in the loop, I just provide force refresh and silent parameters. And my token got refreshed on the fly silently. So I'm happy with loop that is running for hours with my personal token. It's very common in SharePoint to have some libraries that are shared with everyone by default. So yeah, check this. If on some sites it's the only library that return it as a shared with everyone, so you should probably exclude the site from scanning. Now consider this the following. Before that, we were talking about system group that includes everyone, which are everyone or everyone excluding external users or all users, so system IDs. But there are probably in every environment some groups that might include all users, might include part of users. So consider if somebody create a group for licensing, for example, right? So that group might include like majority of your users, or maybe in some companies there are employees and there are contractors, so groups might be all employee, all contractors, right? Or maybe regional divisions like all North America or all EMEA. So those groups are huge. You could probably go deeper and include this dummy account we were using to one or a few of these groups to check what is shared with, not with everyone, but with half of company. You got an idea. Now, it's probably a separate topic, but consider implementing sensitivity labels if you didn't. That really helps. At least users and site owners working on some site, they clearly can see what kind of site they're working, public or private. And if you need to scan if the site is shared or not, you can start from like most sensitive information, most sensitive sites. And that's probably it regarding getting list of sites that are shared with everyone. Thank you for attention. Take care. Bye.